Oh my gosh, okay. Oh my gosh.
Create, relate, erase the hate. Our memories, these things we make. We stitch, we take our time. We take each word, we make them rhyme. We on, we all, these flaws we fraud. To mend this all, to walk the dog. We tune, we zoom, the room,
Yeah,
the
it is.
moon, the birds, the boughs, the stars, the moon.
Hi Flosstube, welcome to Stitching It. My name is Stephanie and I am a cross stitcher and I live outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And this is my channel about my hobby. So this is going to be my 4th Flosstube update of the year. And it is September, so you can tell that I don't do them that often. So I'm glad you're here. And I have a lot of stuff to show you, but I first wanted to tell you about some exciting news, I guess. This year I entered 3 of my projects from the past year into the county fair, the Gwinnett County Fair where I live. And I visited last night and saw the exhibits, and I am pleased to report that all of my pieces won a ribbon. And so I entered my finish from March, which is Birds to the Boughs, in the 14 and 16 count category, and that one won 3rd place in that category. And I entered the flat fold that I had made after Christmas last year into the accessories category, and that one won 2nd. And then I entered Peace, Love, and Purpose. I framed that up myself and sent it in for the 18 to 22 count category, and I took home 1st place ribbon for that. So that was exciting, and I'll try to put a couple of pictures in there, but I have to be honest that the exhibits weren't really, they weren't accessible. They were all behind this glass area, which is, you know, a good thing for security, but other than that it was really hard to actually see, and my pieces were all the way in the back. So but it was still fun to see, and I'll get to go pick them up in a few days and have them back, and like, that's exciting. So the first thing I want to show you today, I actually completed as part of my latest speed stitching video. If you haven't seen it, I like to make videos of my stitching and speed them up and set them to my own music, and I have them in a playlist on the channel. If you're interested in something that that doesn't have necessarily words talking all the time, you know, I don't like the sound of people talking all the time when I'm stitching, so I wanted to make something and express my own, you know, creativity. And the last one I did was a freebie by Lottie Da, and it's on their website, and it's called Hand and Heart, and it's a nice little you know, a very well-known motif. And I stitched it and finished it up as a little card, so it's pretty tiny. The whole thing that I stitched was on 36 count in the first place, and I used watercolor silk floss in Black Forest. It's a beautiful purplish, why won't it focus? Purplish brown. It's still trying to focus on my face, that's why. Turned out really cute. I finished it with some homespun there, but I don't really know what it's for, honestly. You know, I just kind of hold it in my hand and kind of think about it. Think about the saying, think about the sentiment, and I like it. It's not really on display anywhere yet, but if you'd like to see that video, I'll put a link to that. So it is September now, and that means back to school and back to routines, and I have been watching Kitten Stitcher, and she's put out some great videos as part of her Sampler September in relation to just answering questions about antique samplers and reproductions and stitching them. So if you are interested in doing something like that, check her video out. But for Sampler September, I wanted to try to finish up a pair of projects that I started stitching over the summer. And this first one is actually going to be my first reproduction sampler that I've ever finished. And I'm almost finished with her. And this is by the Scarlett House. And it's called Emma Mills, which is an 1839 sampler that is not that big. This is on 36 count, 1/2. And I'm almost finished with her. And I have really enjoyed the process. It's a pretty simple band sampler. And yeah, all I've got is the very last line to finish up the saying at the bottom. But I have done a couple things to make it my own. First of all, I am using the called for colors, which the two main colors are mulberry and old hickory. Let's see if I can get any closer. Mulberry and old hickory from the Gentle Arts. And the other colors I substituted from my own stash for things that were just, like, I think this green color that you see was actually supposed to be dried thyme, and I used just more of a teal color, and then same with a pink color that was in there. I got more pink in there than was originally charted to make it just a little bit more of my own and a little bit more feminine. As you can see, I stitched S and G in a different color so that I could put my own personalization in there. But she is almost done, and I have, you know, like I said, she's a finish that is going to be framed the next time you see her. But the reason I haven't finished her so far is because I haven't been stitching her alone. I've been stitching her with a companion piece. And so I have that antique reproduction sampler, and I also have a modern sampler, which on the same fabric with the same threads. And this is Good Intentions by Kathy Barrick. And I'm not, well, it's not, these, the thing about these samplers that gave me the idea to do them together is they're the same exact width, okay? This sampler is a little bit shorter than the other one, but I'm doing it with the same colors. And, you know, I kind of imagine this girl in the middle right here to be Emma Mills. You know, the girl that I'm stitching her sampler. And so I've got this Kathy Barrick, you know, piece with this little lady in the middle, and I kind of pretend like, oh, that's Emma Mills, you know, and she's a stitcher just like the rest of us. And I'm going to have these two samplers framed together when, you know, identically. They're both on Colonial Parchment from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, and I think they're going to look really good together. So let's get one shot of them together. These, they're not really sister samplers, but, you know. So that's what I'm going to be finishing up for Sampler September. Let me put these away real quick because I don't want them to get messed up. Okay, so the other good thing about going back to school is starting to get evaluated again, right? I mean, you get grades and you get told what you need to improve on, and told what you need to do. So I wanted to show you guys something that I had done 2 years ago. In 2017, around this time of year. It was in November when I did it, but this was a little piece that I did, right? It was one of the first things I stitched on linen, It was just a freebie from the Sullivan's website. And if it looks familiar to you, you might have seen it on a speed stitching video from 2 years ago. You know, and I picked my own colors from my stash. You know, and that was my skill level when 2 years ago. You know, it was just pretty simple things. And 2 years ago, around in the fall, I also joined the Embroiderers Guild of America. And, you know, I've been working with them since then to learn other things besides cross stitch, you know, and other types of stitching, more about fiber arts, history, you know, and I wanted to show you the piece that I started working on last year that I'm still running on, to show you where I've come, you know, what my skill level is now, to see if you can see a difference, you know. So this is a piece by Jeanette Douglas, who's a phenomenal designer, and I love all her stuff. You know, it seems pretty complicated, but it's not cheap. She is not cheap whatsoever. It's really nice stuff. So this is called the Mighty Acorn, and I started it, like I said, last year in the fall. And let's see if I can. We'll see. It's got a little bit of cross stitch in there in the middle, but the rest of it, the most significant portion of work, is dedicated to the Bargello border, which last year, I'll show you where I was, but I had only done one side, and I was pleased as punch with my one side. And this year, when fall rolled around, you know, I started working on it again, and doing the whole entire 4 sides. I've got it connected at now, and all I have to do is fill in. So that's it. What is holding me back now is something that always gives me problems. Once I get close to a finish and I can see it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. No problem. And then I just kind of lose interest in it. So I need to come up with some sort of motivation to keep me going. I don't know if I'll finish this year, but this piece is really, really difficult because, like I said, there's a few cross stitches in there, but the rest of the piece is full of, and especially the bulk of the acorn, which has stopped me in my tracks. Because I'll get close to that and show you guys. But it looks okay. It really does look okay, but this second band is just completely, if I showed you the finished picture and what it's supposed to look like, well, I will. I'll show the picture. It's just supposed to look better. That's all. It's supposed to look better. And I don't know what I'm going to do about this, because it's not that I don't understand what the stitch is supposed to look like. It's just not looking as neat as it could. And this was originally supposed to be stitched on 40 count with silk strands over, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 threads depending, but I'm doing it on 32 count, so it's much it's a little bit bigger than what it's supposed to do, so that's good. And also I am doing my own cotton conversion for this, so that's been really interesting. I love how it's turned out, the tones, but it was a lot of work, you know, to look up all the names of the silks and try to figure out something similar to what it was. But I don't know if I'll get this finished this year or not in the fall. We'll see. Like I said, those stitches on the inside of the acorn are where I'm at now. So 2 years ago, and here I am now. So I'm really happy with what I've learned in the EGA. It's a really good organization if you have a chance. But another thing that started me off from being in the EGA is, you know, this dedication to kind of art and wanting to stitch, you know, and work on your own projects rather than just completing a pattern, you know, that originated with somebody else. So I've wanted to try to, you know, stitch my own stuff, work with my own projects, and I wanted it to be easy enough that I could you know, get through it and do it. So what I decided to do, I had found this frame at Hobby Lobby. See, and it's pretty neat, you know, it's got either a hanger or an easel finish, you know, and I thought it'd be really cool to just clip on. You could just clip on a little finished, you know, object, and I wanted to try to figure out what I could do on my own. So I started a little monthly series, and designing simply on my iPad with an app called Stitch Sketch, and I've started doing September, and let me just show you. I mean, this is what it looks like now. Let's see. Yeah. So there's September. Let me get out my face out of the frame. And you can see it does look a little homey sketched. I kind of wanted it to look like my own writing rather than just like some print, you know. But I kind of pinned sketched the sunflower on this program, and then I filled it in with my own colors and everything. So that's completely original. And then I used sticky board and tacky glue basically to put the tile on another. I posted it on Instagram first without the outer border thing, and with some guidance, you know, and suggestions, which is great about Instagram because you get like instant feedback about your stuff. I put it on this second board, and I think it looks a lot better. I mean, it really does. So that's September, and it's a sunflower. I thought a sunflower was really good, especially for living in Georgia. We've had record heat this month, you know. And I've also finished October. So let me just put that up there. And of course, October is a pumpkin. And I messed up a little bit on the stitching. It actually looked a little bit better on this side on the design, but I again just kind of sketched it for myself and then filled it in with my own stitches. And November is in progress, of course, but yeah, that is a great way. I've really enjoyed that. They didn't take that long, and just to be able to kind of design my own motif and stitch my own works was just great for, you know, my morale basically. You know, it made me feel a lot more comfortable, and it's in my house, you know, displaying, and you know, I'm looking forward to doing that every month as an activity. You know, the thing about monthly series is they can get really expensive. You know, they you got the cost of the pattern, you got the cost of the fabric large enough to cut all those things, and so I'm definitely taking the budget route, and necessity is the mother of invention, right? So I have to admit, I've been kind of a restless stitcher lately, and just kind of going around from project to project, you know. So I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to show you guys today, but I did want to show an update on Game of Swannes, which I've been working on since May, and I started it as a part of my Mania project, and yeah, it was sort of Sampler September, but I kind of feel like Sampler September is more, you know, antique reproduction kind of stuff, and you know, the Long Dog samplers definitely have more of a modern look to them. But I love this project. I want it to be, it's on my finished list for next year. I have some work down below this, but most of the stuff I'm really trying to make sure I got all the stitching done on the top. I've turned the corner here, so this is on 32 count fabric, and it's not that big. You know, there's another outer border that's just straight lines, which I think I may pass on, but we'll see how it looks in the end. You know, it's going to kind of turn out ovular, you know, shape total without the border. But the colors are so pretty on this one. And this is on Tea Leaves by Color and Cotton on 32 count. And, you know, I love 36 count these days. I stitch that most of the time. But it is more fatiguing. And I'm talking about, like, even my pincher grasp gets very tired from grabbing the small needle, you know. And so going back to 32 count with 2 strands for a while, for a couple of days, taking a break from 36 count, that feels very nice. So that is Game of Swannes. And I wanted to show you one more fall project that I've started this year. And I kind of wanted to mention it as part of Sampler September because I killed one of my samplers to start it, meaning Sarah Mary Larkworthy. I took the I took her and I just cut the bottom off because I didn't have 40 count, any more 40 count in the color I wanted, and that sampler was frustrating me. And it's beautiful, it's on beautiful fabric. So this is a piece that came out of the Just Cross Stitch magazine last year, and it's by Arlene Cohen. And this isn't going to show, oh, see, this is all I've got, so you can't even see the fall themed stuff yet. It's Elegant Pumpkin Bowl from Just Cross Stitch magazine, and I'll put up a picture of that. But I'm trying to, there's a shadow casting on the thing, so, but this chart is so intricate and detailed, and I'm using, like I said, 1 strand of silk. They're Silks for You silks that I had gotten in a Bits and Bobs pack that I won, but this chart is just so pretty, and so, like I said, it's got elegant in the title, and that's definitely it. But there are going to be these bright fall colors in the middle in a bowl, you know, and it's got this filigree beautiful design that's border all the way around, and it's just gonna be beautiful, and it's gorgeous. I love it. Thank you, Arlene, for designing it. And that's another fall piece that I'm gonna be working on. Like I said, probably, you know, hopefully if I can hang on and work a little bit here and there on my fall pieces through November, that's the goal, you know. But we're still in September, so anything could happen. You know, a lot of people are interested in dark October stitching, and so far I haven't really been able to get into that. So I kind of left October open, but I don't know what's going to happen with that, what's going to inspire me. You know, I'm kind of, I don't try to plan too much because I just can't stick to them. You know, I can stick a little bit, but for a little while, or I can stick to projects, you know, eventually. But just month to month, week to week, day to day, I have to stitch what I want. So that's why it's great, I think, to show you guys after the fact what I've done. I was glad to show you some finishes, got to report back on the county fair results, and show you kind of what I'm going to be trying to work on for the rest of the fall. So yeah, it's been a great season, and I'm looking forward to getting to some stitching meetups around the community too. So and hopefully getting out of the 90-degree heat sometime soon in Georgia, you know, and really getting to fall. So it is, I'm glad you guys watched. Thanks for subscribing, thanks for liking, and I'll see you guys next time.